Welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to find out if size does matter. Is a bigger carburetor actually better? So we got the carb out. This is the original carb that was in the bike. This is a Cayenne replica. And this is an original Cayenne. This is a PC21, if I can remember correctly. And this is a PC18. For some reason, the 18 is 15 millimeters and the 21 is 18 millimeters. This is a replica PC21, so this is also 18 millimeters. This was pretty cheap. I'm not sure if they work as well as the original ones, but we are going to find it out. So why am I not immediately installing the original one? Because it has a bit of damage here. The fuel drain is completely ground off. The choke is pretty stuck. Well, it's not completely stuck, but it's a bit rough compared to this one. This one moves nice and smooth. But we're going to test the remake. If it works, that's fine. If it doesn't work, we will try to maybe repair the original one with some remake parts. For example, the top hat here. And we'll go from there. So what I'm first going to do is going to check the jets that are in here. And I also have a set of jets for the Cayenne carbs. So what we'll do is we'll check the jet that is in the original one. And then we can try to size a new jet accordingly with the new carb. So let's first open up this one and check the jet. So we got the jet from the original carb. It's hard to tell, but that's a 75. All right, cool. I'm going to reassemble this carb and leave it as is because this carb works. So if it does not work with the bigger carb, I can always easily turn back. So let's just reassemble this one and check the new ones. So we opened up the remanufactured carb. And if I check the jet, I think it says 89 if the direction is correct. So on top you have a K here, and if you can read the K, then it says 89. If you flip it, it's 68. Well, I think it will be 89, which might be too much, but it's better to start with too much than not enough. So I'm going to put this back in and put the carb on the bike. So if you're wondering why I'm going with an 18 millimeter and not immediately with a, say, 21, that's because the inlet manifold is 18 millimeters. So bigger carburetor won't help, I think, because the inlet will be the most restrictive. So an 18 will be the most that we can fit in here, unless we modify the head and the inlet manifold, which we won't be doing right away. So let's mount this new carb and see if we can fire this thing up. So we have the new carb mounted. Let's see if we can fire this thing up. Let's put on some choke. Woo! So we got everything mounted back up. I ran out of battery. The only thing, or the first thing we could tell that when opening the throttle quickly again, like it used to do, or the bike would fall, the engine would fall on its face, just like it used to do. What I did now is raise the needle in the throttle slide up 2 notches, so it gets more fuel at half throttle. And it's a bit better. It's not perfect, but the engine is still not completely warmed up. The other thing I just did was remount the air filter box and the air filter itself. But I didn't catch it on camera because my battery ran out. So let's see if we can find some clear weather for maybe half an hour still and do a little test drive with an 18 millimeter carburetor. So the bike is back on the lift. As you saw in the clip, we tried to do a wide open throttle plug chop, and I just stopped on the side of the road to check the spark plug, and it looked like this. So as you can see in the pictures, the bottom ring has a lot of soot on it that shows that it's rich, and the earth pin, I should call it like that, is a bit white color, and that for a 4-stroke is correct. So that shows that the spark plug is the right heat range, but we are running too rich. So I'm going to quickly drain the carb and switch jets again. So now we have an 89. I'm thinking on going 85 or maybe straight to 80. I've heard from other people running an 80 with an 18mm carb. So maybe I'm just going to swap an 80 jet and run it like that. So let's drain it and remove it. So we have this bag of jets. Let's see if we can find an 80. I think I'm going to try 80. 82, maybe that's a possibility. Let's see, what do we have? 96. So 82 is the smallest jet we have right now. So I'm going to throw that one in, and hopefully we can go for a test later on. There, new jet installed. Let's put this car back together and maybe take it for a little spin. I've been fooling around with this remake carb, and I've tried pretty much all of these jets. So I keep running back and forth from lean to rich if I change jets, and I'm actually stuck. So I have been comparing these two carbs. This is the remanufactured one. This is an original cane. The first thing I notice is the emulsion tube on the remake is much higher than on the original one. So I'm going to swap back all the parts to the original cane and fix and swap the broken parts with new parts from the remake carb. The broken parts are actually just the top hat, this bolt here, so that doesn't really have much function to tuning the carb. So I'm going to reuse the top hat from this carb. And also the drain plug, or the drain, on the original cane has been broken off. So I'm going to swap the fuel bowl from the new carbon, and we'll go from there. So I'm swapping back in an main jet 80 to this original cane carb, and we'll go for another test. I can't mount this carb. There should be threads in the holes of the carb, but I think they're stripped because I can fully put the bolt in without actually having any tension. So I wanted to fit a longer bolt, but that also doesn't work because I can't actually get it in the hole. And from the other side, same issue. Can't fit it in. So I can mount this carb. So I guess I'll be going back to the 15mm. Since the mounting holes for this carb are stripped, I'm going to give the remanufactured carb one more shot and that's because I think I've made a mistake earlier. So what I did while tuning the carb is I actually took the emulsion tube of the original carb and put it in the remake carb, because the holes in the emulsion tube for the remake are bigger than the one on the original one. But what I didn't do is change the throttle slide. So I was still riding with the throttle slide and the throttle needle from the remake. And guess what? They are a different dimension. So I was actually running the wrong needle with the wrong emulsion tube. So I'm going to give this carb one more shot with the jet size for 80 or 82, because I think I'm getting close between those, but still not perfect. I think that piece of perfect is because of the emulsion tube. So I'm going to run the 82 jet in the remake carb with the correct emulsion tube and the correct throttle slide and needle. And hopefully that will fix the issue. So let's reconfigure this carb and put it back in the bike. So after a lot of testing and trying, we finally nailed it. So I'm still running the replica carburetor with its original emulsion tube and an 86 jet. So now the bike runs fine. It's hard for me to tell if it makes more power or even less, because I've been riding it with a bad tune for a couple of times, so it's hard for me to tell. Maybe I should switch back to the 15 in order to notice the difference. But let's put this thing to the test and take it out for the quarter mile. Let's go. So we just got back from the quarter mile run. Everything goes fine. So let's get to the board and see if it makes any difference or not. So we're back at the board right after the test for the 18mm carb. Let's just write it down as Dream Plus, I guess. We have on 0 to 45 kilometers an hour in 7.83. That gets us 1 second off, which is pretty nice. The elapsed time for the quarter mile took 27.4, and now, so we have a quarter mile time here of 28.3. It's actually almost a second slower as the previous run, which is kind of strange. And we exited the quarter mile at 70.2, which is also strange. Did I cut off the gas too early? Did I think I was done with the quarter mile, but was I still doing it? That's kind of strange. So I'm just checking the data again, and I have for the 8th mile, so half a quarter mile, it's actually nearly identical. So it's kind of strange. So the 0 to 45 that was measured is actually a second quicker, but with the quarter mile, the 18mm carburetor is actually slower, which is pretty strange. So even we had a lot of wind up front in this run, which I doubt, or we had a lot of wind in the back on the original run, which I can't remember. So conclusion of this test is bigger also better. Well, in this case, not really. I think we would have to put it on an actual dyno to see any difference, but I think the difference is way too small to notice. But that's why we're here. We are testing things out so you don't have to. So in conclusion, I don't think it makes that much difference. I will continue running it for a while and maybe switch back. I'm not sure. We'll see. So if you thought this was helpful, consider subscribing for more. We'll be testing more things out. And if you've liked it, consider leaving a like. It helps out the channel a lot. And without further ado, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and ciao.